From Ticker, this is Black Belt Leader. Here's Karen Gately.
Welcome to Black Belt Leader, proudly powered by Miller Leith, recruitment specialist and career services provider. I'm Karen Gately, the founder of Corporate Dojo. On the show today, we're going to be talking about how leaders can lift the performance of their team and the vital role that coaching skills play in enabling to do that. So today's show is especially for those of you who want to inspire your teams to dig deeper and to contribute to the standard that they're truly capable of. Of course, that at times takes having some difficult conversations. So later in the show, we'll be joined by Glen Bartlett, our resident employment lawyer, who will give us some insight to how you can have the conversations you really need to, and obviously avoid some of the common legal traps leaders stumble into. First, we're going to be joined by Jenny Junkier, the CEO of Junkier New Era Consulting. Jenny is a passionate advisor to organisations in supporting them to turn their ambitions into reality, which of course includes influencing people to be at their best. So we're excited to have Jenny joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Hi Karen, how are you?
Really great. Thank you for being here. Obviously,
really excited. Yeah.
Appreciate you getting out of your house and out into the world.
This is my first trip actually outside since I went into lockdown. Yeah. Other than the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a bit more exciting than the grocery store.
I actually got dressed up outside of pajamas.
Well, I will give you a bit of a preview to the fact that later on we're going to be sharing some Zoom fails. So that should be fun. So a lot of people are spending the majority of their time obviously operating in that context. So what we wanted to do today was to pick your brains around, for leaders, whether people are working from home or remotely or clearly back into workplace environments, to really unpack how they can help people to lift to the next standard. Clearly one of the essential things in doing that is ensuring that people are very clear of what expectations are and what those standards are. So I wanted to start by asking you to share your insights. How can leaders actually make sure they are really clear?
So I think the challenge is, are the leaders themselves clear?
Yeah.
And I know that seems like a really simple question. How clear are you about your business and where it's going? Yeah. It's actually hard. It's not so simple to answer. Yeah. And so clarity comes first from, if you're by yourself, you can make your own decisions about being clear. But when you have a group, a large organisation that has a management team, how do you make sure all of them are clear about one path? Yeah. That is really challenging because they all disagree, have their own opinions. Yeah. And that, I guess, lack of harmony in the direction of the business, it goes through the rest of the organisation.
Absolutely agree with you.
And so the best thing that they can do is actually decide. Yeah. Let's just stick to one path. Yeah. And that we call strategy, and that's the direction we tell everybody we're going down. Yeah, and so that is what I would love people to start doing more of. Yeah. Not bickering over what the strategy is. Yeah. Really, not that it doesn't matter too much. Pick one, but then make sure that you do not change it. Yeah. Stay the course of a path.
Yeah. Look, I totally agree. I see that all the time with organisations where they're losing focus, they're losing discipline, they're ambitious, they're spreading their resources, spreading their attention, and really then just spinning their tyres. And people within those businesses most often will say to us, we don't know what the priorities are.
Exactly.
Where do we actually start? So I think that is probably leads me to my next question for you, is around, what are some of the things that leaders do? So I've heard you loud and clear. Let's be really clear on what game we're in, and what plan we've got behind that. How do we then make sure we're managing priorities around that effectively?
So let's say you knew the path you're going down. Because you know it so well, you already instinctively know what's 1, 2, and 3 are the most important things you need to do as a business. Not me personally, not you personally, but as a business. Yeah. And because it's so clear, if you can name 1, 2, and 3, then you name it. You say to the rest of the organisation, we are doing priority 1, everybody, and let's not focus and work any energy and effort on priority 10 or 20 when we need to do priority 1. Yeah. And so what I see often is, especially when people are working from home, they think their priority is the priority, and so does the person, in the other household that, is their colleague. And then they're all working on different priorities, not in the right order. Yeah. If the leader was able to help the entire organisation know which one is the firm's priority, and then every person like you and I working going, okay, I know what the priority is for the business. Yeah. I know I'm doing that part of it.
Yeah. Because I think that's so true, because often what I observe is that, people's priorities are also driven by their preferences.
Yes.
It's like, what do I feel like doing today? What do I actually want to work on today?
What's that easy work that I'm like, I can get away, I can get it done, I can feel a sense of completeness because I can tick it off?
Yes. And I can also point to the fact I've been busy, you see I am productive, I'm working hard, but what are we actually working hard on?
Yeah, and honestly, I'm a bit of I challenge the status quo. And so I dare say, unless you are working on priorities 1, 2, and 3, are you really working at all for the business?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it out there. That's how I believe. And so either way we run our organisation is we're always very clear on what's 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And it's fair enough that you can't always work on one. Everyone in the organisation can't work on one. But as long as it's in the top 5 priorities, if you can just rechange the organisation to shift the understanding, what are the top 5, and then be actually certain that everyone is working on that top 5, you'll have higher performance because clearly someone has set out that those priorities are the ones we need to do to get us to the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd also encourage people to keep challenging those priorities, because sometimes I see leaders implement systems that go, okay, we decided 3 months ago that was the priority. The world has changed, clearly right now being a classic example of this, and not being agile enough to recognise that we probably do need to shift tack. So again, it can start to undermine the credibility of our prioritisation process if we're super rigid around that as well.
Yeah, so the way I look at that is I almost look at weekly prioritisation.
Yes.
So the evaluation of the overall broad business might happen, monthly. Right, as a prioritisation, this is our goal for this month.
Yeah.
We're an agile firm, so we call that an iteration. Let's say that's what we're going to do and achieve in this month. But then we evaluate that each week. And so if you break it down as let's say a middle manager, and you're trying to get your organisation or your team to achieve something, work on even a weekly priority, like start of the Monday going by Friday, can we achieve this part, part 1 of the 4-week priority, plan. So by doing that, there's no way they could not get it right.
Yes.
and so I'm really confused and perplexed sometimes where we achieve things, but why aren't there the things we achieve? I'm like, all you have to do is go, I'm going to achieve that, and then do it. Again, back to clarity, back to simplicity, and performance just rises just by being really clear and selective.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing you also say loud and clear is let's actually be accountable.
Yeah.
Ourselves as individuals, clearly, if we're not working on the priorities, are we really working? Let's be asking ourselves.
Let's decide that.
I can apply that to my own rule book actually for my own business as well. Let's be really clear on what those things are, but obviously clearly as leaders, let's also be asking the right questions. How did you go? Okay, we set that priority. What was the outcome? How are you tracking? How are you progressing? And that's where I think, the coaching relationship becomes so important, that we're able to actually maintain that dialogue and that ongoing interaction with people.
Because I look at the way, I can only speak from experience of how I coach my team. So we follow these practices. And so by the end of the week, from a coaching perspective, because the focus has been on the right priority, the coaching also helps. I can really understand, were they able to do the task well for that week? And they were focused on the right thing. So they weren't doing, on their own independently, the wrong thing. And then I can assess really their contribution. It's a team effort, but I can see, person A, were they really good at that thing? And then I can, in a live way, talk about that conversation around, let's say they were slightly challenged by that particular task. I can give live feedback as a coach. Right. My job is to give them as much conversational value about helping lifting their performance and something that's relevant. And so I would rather it be, you're not doing that task specifically well, but it's the most important task you should be doing. So well done on that. But we just needed some help on that. Keep it as simple as that.
Yeah. And then also what that does is helps people to trust that you actually are working with them. You're not just there to catch them out. You're there to actually guide them. And it makes the conversations a lot easier. We're not having to pull people into a room months down the track and say, hey, I was disappointed by A, B, or C. We're actually having that conversation as it's happening.
Otherwise, what else is performance?
That's right.
Performance is you doing what the business needs you to do at the time it needs you to do it, right? In a really high standard. So if I'm guiding you by making sure I'm giving you the best ability to do the right thing at the right time without doing your job for you, but you making sure you know the job you need to do, and then it's on you to perform. And then if you struggle, that's my supporting job as a
now it's
a
on
coach.
to you as a coach to help and
so I have to play a really big part in the ownership of that. It's not just all on the employee.
Totally agree with you. So help us understand how we can then make sure people are actually empowered, because some people might be listening to us thinking, it's starting to sound a bit like micromanaging. Clearly it's not. not. So what's your view on that whole balance between accountability and empowerment?
Sure. So to me, micromanagement is I've given you a task and I'm watching over you whilst you do it.
Yes.
And I'm giving you guidance, do it this way, do it that way.
Yeah.
Versus I set you up with the right task, not just you personally. As a team, even we use systems. So we don't even say you need to be doing that, Karen. Yeah. It's there, it's in the order. We use systems to do that. So you now know your job for that week.
Yeah.
I stay back and let you do it, and you come and check in with me if you have any questions or problems around it. And then you're accountable to let me know if you're not going to get that done by Friday.
Yeah.
So it's completely giving you independence.
Yeah.
I'm empowering you because I'm not stepping in. I expect you're an adult. You're going to perform at the level that you're expected to, and you'll let me know if there's any problems. So it's actually the opposite of micromanagement. Yeah. It's taking you to the next level of accountability that you are independent. But I know I'm comfortable. You have everything that you need. My support when you need it. The priority that you understand that the business is working on, and the vision and strategy of the goal. So what else could you need to do that job other than your own skills?
Yeah, absolutely love it. Look, I totally agree with you. I think, time and time again, I observe leaders really struggle with getting that balance right. It's do I trust and let go and people will deliver? What happens if they don't? And then we fall over as a team, and then we've got to pick up the problem, and so that causes leaders to get too involved. And then equally, there's a lot of leaders who just aren't close enough.
Yes.
They
don't even know what they're
they're just not interacting frequently enough. They're not having conversations. If we think about the leader who's still sitting in their office, behind the closed door, zero chance of having this kind of influence on a team. Yeah. So, what's your one bit of advice for leaders around balancing focus around the individual's performance and their accountability, and then the broader team?
See, too often, obviously politics are in business, right? Yeah. And it's about, your personal ambition if you're an employee. I want to go up in the ranks, I want to get more pay, and so I have to stand out. Yeah. And I don't care what my colleagues are doing. Yeah. But and not that everyone's like that, but obviously it happens. Yeah. I want that drive in a team, but I want it to be, how can you achieve true team collaboration, but you individually, thrive. Yeah. And I find that it's not that difficult to achieve. So the team collaboration, I feel like, is the leader's responsibility. Yeah. Make me know that I'm working together with my colleagues, right? Make me know we're achieving together. Yeah. But I can do this job kick-ass way, right? Yeah. I can make this particular task I do the best I can be. And every time you give me something, I individually perform at my best. Yeah. I'm going to get noticed for that. Yeah, I don't need to try to outdo my colleagues. No, I just do the best job that I can do. Totally agree. And I achieve individual performance, but teamwork is happening around me. Yeah. Look, I absolutely agree. At many levels, it's about making sure that people understand that their individual success is in part a reflection of their contribution to the broader team. Yeah. That is what performance is. It's right. If I am doing a gun job at tasks that don't matter, why should I be rewarded for that? It's what the team gains, not what I gain, and not what I look like when I do it. So I want leaders to know that sometimes that's not organically something or instinctively someone will feel, and they need to be told that, to be honest. From a coaching perspective, if the people aren't comfortable that this is what we expect from you in terms of your high performance equals this, give us this. Absolutely. They don't know sometimes. I know it's really odd that they don't, but you don't know what, you've worked in corporate before. You just do your job. What does do your job mean? Exactly. Do I just do this task every day? Is that how I'm going to be assessed, or am I actually contributing? And it's just changing the conversation to become more modern in the business practices. So. Absolutely love it. And clearly we're very much aligned in that regard. We're going to go to a short break now, and when we come back, we're going to be getting into this week's WTF at Work segment. Our partner Miller Leith was founded in 2012, and over the past 7 years has carved out a name synonymous with true partnerships and quality outcomes. You may know them by their blue couch logo. It's catchy. Based in Melbourne and Sydney, their focus has always been centred around true partnership with industry sectors and job groups, where they have key expertise such as FMCG, retail, supply chain, engineering, quality, sales and marketing, HR and business support. Miller Leith offers talent search for permanent and contracting roles. They also have expertise with career transition. If you're looking for an authentic talent partnership, call Miller Leith today.
There are now more ways to watch Ticker. Download our apps for Apple and Android devices. We're live on Twitter and YouTube Live. And you can catch us on Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Head to the Ticker website for more.
Hey, good morning.
Ticker's new breakfast show.
Well, most of the time in the morning.
From Ticker, this is Black Belt Leader. Here's Karen Gately.
Welcome back to Black Belt Leader, and now for our WTF at Work segment.
Say what?
Joining Jenny and I now is the host of Ticker Newsroom, Alana McLean. Alana, what crazy workplace scenario do you have?
Well, I've got a doozy for you today. I'll tell you what. Today's WTF is a colleague of mine continuously brought a friend into work with him for a week straight with no explanation. He'd sit in the office with us and walk into meetings as if he worked there and nobody knew what to do. WTF.
Has that actually happened?
Apparently so.
Maybe it was bring a friend to work week and no one else knew.
How weird is that though?
And more than one day?
Well, it sounds like they were just there the whole week, like an intern, but not. Isn't that bizarre?
I think what immediately comes to my mind is, yes, that's bizarre. From the point of view of the leadership team.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
Yeah, just confidentiality of what's happening in the workplace, how are they respecting that?
And maybe it's one of those situations where when it's a big office and everyone's like, do you work here? Do you not work here? Is this a new person? I just don't personally know them. You know what I mean? Because I've worked in big places like that before, and it goes a couple of days and no one's, introduced you, or they haven't sent the email out, and you're like, oh, you work, oh, sorry, you work here. So maybe this guy just was trying out for a job.
I do know when I was at uni that occasionally I would take my boyfriend to lectures and he wasn't enrolled. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but maybe they just wanted a bit of company.
Just a free education, just a free degree.
Well, the worst part was he used to ask questions in the lecture.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to leave on a Friday and it's like, one more question.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't even class member. Sorry, Jenny.
Was it perhaps even emotional support for them while they're having a hard week? And that's an elevated way of doing that.
What do they call those animals that give you comfort?
The therapy dogs.
Yes, maybe it's his therapy friend.
How weird though, and then just to disappear again at the other side of it.
I wonder whether he took notes or something. I wonder what that guy did or the girl did.
Maybe he was moving house or something, and there was a bit of an interim week where he just had
he didn't have anything to do.
Speaking of which, who has that much time on their hands to spend the whole week at someone else's work?
Who wants to do more work?
That's not even your own.
Isn't that weird? WTF.
It's super weird, and I think maybe our advice to the leadership world out there is if strangers float through your office and you're really not sure why they're there, probably from a health and safety perspective as a starting point, you might want to ask the question. And to individuals, probably not a good idea to take your buddy to work.
No. How odd. And also from a workers' comp point of view, if they've had an accident, are they liable because they were never registered as an employee in the first place?
From a fireplace, there's no tick of their names not on that list when they go to a fire.
COVID, she just comes in, drops COVID, leaves. My goodness.
I think we've got our workplace safety officers freaking out at the thought of all of that. So what we're going to do now is have a bit more fun. We've been looking online to find out what's been going on in the world of Zoom meetings. And we've got a few classic examples to show you of when Zoom meetings can go wrong. So first of all, we've got a couple of photos that people shared online. So this lovely lady has shared with us that she got on a video call with all managers, directors, and the vice president of her department, went to take a drink and then realised the cup she's using.
Oh no, love. Oh, oh no.
Why does she even have that cup?
I know, at work.
Oh, was it at work?
Yeah, well, no, good point.
It was our house, right? Yeah, your house. Yeah. So it was a
That's
personal
fine.
thing.
We bring that out for the shot glasses at the end of the night or something. Maybe
when you're on that new date, like it's a bit.
Might have been, a hen
just
present
in case
she got.
you were wondering.
All right, let's have a look at another one. So my boss turned herself into a potato on our Microsoft Teams meeting and can't figure out how to turn the setting off. So she was just stuck like this the whole meeting. What I love about this one is the look on those people's faces. You know, they're clearly trying to be polite. They're clearly trying to hide the laughter, but that is gold.
I reckon let it out. You know, I don't take myself too seriously. So if I did that accidentally, my team might laugh at me. You know, go ahead. It makes them, makes the bonding between me and you as a colleague better. Like, go with it.
We have a lot of our
It's
team.
funny how people think like that they're being so crazy on these like Zooms and whatever, and it's just like, mate, nobody even wants to be on here to begin with. Let's just get on with it. Everyone's like, look at my green screen.
I think we're talking like a media person here.
You're on San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. Good for you. Like, people think it's fun. I don't know. It's a bit naff.
All right, so let's have a look at a short video, and we absolutely encourage people to think twice before taking this approach.
Bye. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
See you guys.
Oh, gosh.
Tony!
Can you hear us?
Tony!
Oh no! Don't, Jen, call him. Oh my gosh!
I'm going through my pants. I got
Hold on, I'm gonna text a couple pictures of that. Oh. Oh. Oh boy.
What's up?
Tony, I can see you in your
We can all see you.
Face was priceless when he figured that out. I love the fact he just ran. My husband went, oh, he did that on purpose. I don't care. His colleagues were genuinely in hysterics over that.
It's just rife. It's rife. The virtual world is rife with pit holes and landmines, and it's just a scary place to be.
It is hilarious, isn't it? Well, thank you both for joining us. I really do appreciate your contribution to today's show. And
It was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
And sharing a great laugh with us. So we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by our regular employment lawyer, Glen Bartlett.
There are now more ways to watch Ticker.
Perfect.
Download our apps for Apple and Android devices. We're live on Twitter and YouTube Live. And you can catch us on Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Head to the Ticker website for more. From Ticker, this is Black Belt Leader. Here's Karen Gately.
Welcome back to Black Belt Leader. So now we're joined by a regular employment lawyer from Bartlett Workplace, Glen Bartlett. Welcome back to the show, Glen.
Good morning, Karen. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So, Glen, we're talking today, as you well know, about how we lift performance and the essential role that coaching skills play in enabling leaders to take people to the next level. So, through your lens, the work that you've done in your career, obviously in the AFL, but also in your employment law practice, what are some of the core capabilities you believe that really leaders need around coaching to enable that improved performance and obviously to also stay out of trouble?
Yeah, Karen, in terms of driving not just performance but behaviour and conduct, the core skills are really people management skills. And what we see time and time again, we've trained over 5,000 managers in our training business, is we see the very best engineers, lawyers, paramedics being promoted into people management skills, not given those the toolkit to succeed. So, particularly in driving performance, even simple things like doing a performance review, setting up managers with the toolkit, feedback, being able to get back and having a feedback is really important. And the research shows the very best managers have strong feedback skills.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So what are some of the feedback mistakes you often observe?
Look, managers quite often, what we find, don't know where to start. They mix up managing performance versus behaviour. I say avoid. We've got a whole list of do's and don'ts. Don't have these feedback discussions in pubs or coffee shops. They'll be misinterpreted one-on-one in a confidential space.
Yeah.
Don't do feedback via text message or email, which a lot of people do. So
it's amazing that people need to be told that, right?
Yeah, I'm a great believer in, the eye is sceptical, the ear is receptive. So the face-to-face expectation from a risk point of view and to maximise productivity, there's no substitute for the face-to-face meeting. If that's not possible, obviously with COVID-19, etc., then a Zoom face-to-face or a video conference is the way to go, but not by text message or email. We see a lot of, really, there's not a framework, there's not consistency. Managers don't understand that they've got control of the process. So we've developed a list of top 25 curveballs that come up. But one of the main things is managers developing a toolkit, even phrases, then understanding they're in control of curveballs come up, understanding what they can and can't do legally. And taking control, and it's a big area across the country. Whether it's coal industry, professional services, manufacturing, we're working in it. It's a common problem. We promote people because they're very good technically, but we don't set them up to succeed in the feedback space or the people space. Actually,
look, I totally agree. We are passionate believers that the ability to have the tough conversation is core to any leader's ability to be successful. And in my experience, a lot of leaders don't want to have the conversation. There's lots of different reasons, but often it's because they don't have the confidence. They don't know how to articulate it. They're not sure how they're going to deal with pushback if it happens. Or equally on the other side, they're leaving it to a time when the way they're dealing with it is now heightened in terms of their own emotions. They're now starting to approach it in a way that doesn't look respectful, whereas if they just had the earlier conversations, the compassionate conversations, it would have helped. So what's your advice, in terms from a legal perspective? Should we be calling this feedback, coaching, counselling? What's your advice around that?
Look, in terms of, from a legal perspective and to maximise productivity, minimise risk, Karen, I'd avoid counselling. One of the problems with the English language is counselling has a negative connotation to it, like disciplinary. Coaching, quite often there's independent coaches. So we're not talking about direct reports, people external or mentoring programs. That's, again, I see something different. So I'd be sticking with feedback. Where we're going to get to is making it not a difficult conversation, but as you said, it's a core part of what every manager leader does.
Absolutely.
And it should be part of the toolkit every day in terms of what they do. We want to get to a point where feedback's a positive thing. It happens every day. People are used to receiving it. There's a framework. So the other issue we come across is inconsistency between managers, problems around what records are kept, what records aren't kept, and no real, as you say, a lot of managers are apprehensive and they put it off. So it's don't want to do it on a Friday, don't want to destroy the person's weekend. Mondays, I don't like Mondays, and they put it off, and I'm like the present. So I can just tell you war stories about where matters have escalated and ended up in litigation where if they'd been nipped in the bud at the coalface by the frontline leader or the manager very early, and we're not trying to manage people out, we're trying to maximise their performance and behaviour. But of course that record will all be part of a case if it does escalate. So what managers do early in the process is really, really important. Feedback's also really good to reinforce standards that are expected, whether it's performance standards or behaviour standards, and to reinforce really good performance and the right behaviours, to drive the right behaviours. So as I said, it's actually the number one, there's been some surveys done where the number one attribute of a great manager, great leader is they're very good, they've mastered feedback. So it's a skill worth having. It needs to be mastered by leaders. It's not an add-on part of your job. Your people are your most important asset. So we see that every day.
Totally agree. Glen, as usual, fantastic advice. Really do appreciate you joining us on the show yet again.
No worries. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for having us.
So thanks for joining us today. If there are topics you would like us to explore, please get in touch via our website, corporatedojo.com, or any of our social media channels. And remember, you choose. Will you be an ordinary or an awesome leader of your people?
there are now more ways to watch Ticker. Download our apps for Apple and Android devices. We're live on Twitter and YouTube Live. And you can catch us on Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Head to the Ticker website for more.